Jack and Jill is a 2011 American comedy film co-written, produced by, and starring Adam Sandler, Katie Holmes, and Al Pacino, and directed by Dennis Dugan, who has collaborated with Sandler on many of his films. It was distributed by Columbia Pictures and released on November 11, 2011. The film was a commercial success at the box office with a worldwide gross over $149 million. But was universally panned. It holds a score of 3% on Rotten Tomatoes and is considered by many to be one of the worst films of all time. It became the first film to win in every category at the Golden Raspberry Awards, in the process breaking the record held by Battlefield Earth for the most Razzie Awards for a single film. Plot: the film opens with homemade videos of fraternal twins Jack and Jill Sadelstein growing up. As the videos progress, it seems that Jack is the more gifted twin, with Jill constantly trying to get to his attention by hitting him, hurting girls around him, etc. The story shifts to the present, where an adult Jack is a successful advertising executive in Los Angeles with a beautiful wife, Erin, and two kids, Sophie and Gary, while Jill never left the working-class neighborhood they grew up in. Jill recently inherited her childhood home, having lived with their mother until her death 1 year ago. Jack is incredibly irritated about the Thanksgiving visit of his identical twin sister Jill, as he has to pick her up at 4 a.m. Jack's patience is soon stretched increasingly thin. Jill ruins Thanksgiving dinner by talking loudly, calling one guest homeless, then running away into the woods with her pet cockatoo. Jill has a list of things she wants to do: be on a game show, go horseback riding, and do a studio tour. She has an open-ended plane ticket and decides to stay until the end of Hanukkah. Jack's agency client, meanwhile, wants him to somehow get actor Al Pacino to appear in a Dunkin' Donuts commercial. Jack isn't sure how he's supposed to make that happen. Jill tries online dating, but doesn't get much of a response until Jack poses as Jill and alters her profile, leading to more than 100 responses. When her date, Funbucket, meets her, however, he hides in the restaurant bathroom. Feeling guilty, Jack takes her to a Lakers game where Pacino is supposed to be. Pacino pays little attention to Jack but is surprisingly taken with Jill. He gives her his phone number on a hot dog, written in mustard and ketchup. Jack is hoping Jill would leave by New Year's Eve, since the family is going on a cruise. Friends throw him a birthday party and extend it to Jill as well, having never known that he even had a sister. Pacino invites Jill to his home but she resists his advances and abruptly leaves. The next day, Jack's Mexican gardener, Felipe, takes Jill to a family get-together to have fun. Jack doesn't want Jill to be alone on New Year's, so he invites her on the cruise, and she gladly accepts. A proposition is made by Pacino that he will do the commercial if Jack gets him a date with Jill. Jack disguises himself as Jill and goes on the date in her place. Jill starts to suspect that the only reason Jack invited her on the cruise is to persuade Pacino to do the Dunkin' Donuts commercial. When she phones Jack, he answers as Jill, and then she hears Pacino, confirming her suspicions. Jack realizes how much he loves his sister and races back to the ship, but learns that Jill has gone back home to the Bronx. At a restaurant on New Year's Eve, there with a picture of the twins' dead mother, she comes across a group of old classmates that used to make fun of her, led by Monica. They belittle her until Jack and his family show up. Jack and Jill speak in their made-up twin language, then Monica gets Erin in a headlock, but Jill saves her. Pacino also turns up at the party, dressed as the Man of La Mancha, to proclaim in his love for Jill. She turns him down and goes home, where Felipe declares his love. She is overjoyed and embraces him. The television commercial is made, with Pacino starring and singing as he promotes a new coffee, Duncatchino, with a rap song. But when Jack shows it to him, Pacino hates it and tells him to destroy every copy of this film and threatens death to all those who have seen it. Cast: Adam Sandler as Jack, Jill Sadelstein, Al Pacino as himself, Katie Holmes as Erin Sadelstein, Eugenio Derbez as Felipe, Felipe's grandmother, Tim Meadows as Ted, Nick Swardson as Pod, Alan Covert as Otto, Elodie Torn as Sophie Sadelstein, Rowan Chand as Gary Sadelstein, Jeff Pearson as Carter Simmons, Valerie Mahaffey as Bitsy Simmons, Gad Elmaleh as Xavier, Jake Pennington as Sadelstein cousin, Gary Valentine as Dallas, Kristen Davis as Delilah, cameo Dana Carvey as Crazy Puppeteer, David Spade as Monica, Dennis Duggan as Henry, Pacino's understudy, Norm Macdonald as Fun Bucket, John Farley as Mort the hot dog vendor, John McEnroe, Dan Patrick, and Bill Romanofsky as party guests, Santiago Segura as Eduardo, Christy Brinkley as herself, Drew Carey as himself, Jared Fogle as himself, Michael Irvin as himself, Billy Blanks as himself, Caitlyn Jenner as herself, Shaquille O'Neal as himself, Lamar Odom as himself, Vince Offer as himself, Regis Philbin as himself, Johnny Depp as himself, reunite with Al Pacino since Donnie Brasco, Kevin Nealon as Doctor, Jackie Sandler as Nurse. Reception. Box office. The film opened in 3,438 theaters at number 2 with $25,003,575, behind Immortals, which debuted in the top spot with $32,206,425. The film closed on February 26, 2012 with a total gross of $74,158,157 in North America. It also made $75,515,631 in other territories, for worldwide gross of $149,673,788 against its $79 million budget. Critical reception. Jack and Jill was universally panned by critics, with many citing it as one of the worst films of all time. Salon stated that Jack and Jill received some of the worst reviews of any movie ever upon its release. Review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes gives the film a rating of 3%, based on 105 reviews, with a rating average of 2.6 out of 10. The site's consensus reads, although it features an inexplicably committed performance from Al Pacino, Jack and Jill is impossible to recommend on any level whatsoever. On Metacritic, the film has a score of 23 out of 100, based on 26 critics, indicating generally unfavorable reviews. Mary Polce of Time magazine ranked the film number 1 on the top 10 worst movies of 2011. The AV Club ranked it number 1 on the worst films of 2011 list. TV Guide included the film on its the worst of 2011 list. Andrew Barker of Variety said that the film's general stupidity, careless direction and reliance on a single joke premise that was never really funny to begin with are only the most obvious of its problems. Internet review show Half in the Bag criticized Jack and Jill for recycling gags from Sandler's previous films, incessant product placement, and laziness in terms of both writing and production quality, going so far as to characterize the entire production as a sinister embezzlement scam. They would later call it the worst thing in the world. The film won a total of 10 Razzies in 2012, setting a record and displacing 2000's Battlefield Earth, which had garnered 9 awards. Despite generally scathing reviews, the film did receive some positive reception. However, much of this was seen as a one-off, or a surprise in comparison to the rest of the film. Mick LaSalle of the San Francisco Chronicle stated that while he found the character Jill annoying, almost everything else in this comedy succeeds. The central situation has comic energy. The film has successful bits and big moments of satisfying comedy. Tom Russo of the Boston Globe gave the film 2.5 out of a possible 4 stars. Writing, "What's more genuinely wacky is what a kick this movie can sometimes be, completely in spite of its big Flat stunt accolades in the Razzie Awards. Jack and Jill was nominated for every single category, and twice for Supporting Actor and Supporting Actress, and won all 10 awards. Home media. Sony Pictures Home Entertainment released Jack and Jill on DVD and Blu-ray on March 6, 2012.